the biggest change is that your creative is actually doing the targeting. So it's not the interest that you put, it's like what kind of ad you have.
So in this episode, Marin Istvanic and I break down his exact strategy that he's used across the Meta platform to spend over $100 million in the last 6 or 7 years.
When we started, it was me, Davey, and the girl from customer service. And we were spending just like $2K a day. When I left 3.5 years ago, it's spending over $100K a day. It was a team of like 80 people.
This is an insanely tactical episode that goes into AI tools that you can use inside your ad account to increase the volume and the velocity of being able to lift performance with less activity.
We are testing between 15 and 20 concepts a week, and each concept has 3 to 5 different variations. So that means like at least 60 creatives.
And the last thing he's going to give you is this white labeling strategy that can help you to be seen by more of your potential customers in a more higher ROAS type of situation.
70% of ads are running through the influencer page at this point. You cannot expect that, like, if you're spending 100K and 500K, that your ROAS will stay the same. It would definitely go down.
Give us a little bit of a backstory in terms of like, I guess your history of jumping into the space of media buying. How did you get into where you are at the moment?
Yeah, so I was on my senior year of college studying computer science, and alongside with that, I was pursuing professional football career. I was playing in second Croatian division. So I was like, okay, do I need to go this route with a safe job, or should I kind of like focus everything on football? Somehow in the middle of that, I stumbled upon digital marketing. It really got me interested, and I started learning everything there is about it. Like, I went through the whole Google and Facebook literature support to understand how the auction works, stuff like that. I even changed the topic of my thesis to digital marketing from the computer science one, and it went well. And then like, okay, I have all this theoretical knowledge, but I don't want to just run ads for the sake of myself to run ads, because I would be wasting money. I don't have any store or service that I can promote. So luckily, friend of a friend was, I think at that time, the only guy that was doing Facebook ads in Croatia. And I reach out to him and tell him, hey, like, I would like to learn from you. He said, like, perfect. I just need a guy who will, like, take the post ID, find the audiences when the audiences were a thing in Facebook, and basically all those like meaningless tests. It was perfect to me because I get like firsthand experience. It was perfect for him because I was helping him. Soon after that, I started freelancing and connected with Matt, the founder of Inspire Agency. So I went from freelancer, junior, mid, senior, head of performance, currently partner at the same agency. So basically my whole journey in digital marketing is tied to Inspire. And I'm there for the past 8 years. And like so far, I spent over $150 million on our clients and our internal brands managing Facebook ads.
Wow, fantastic. Interesting dynamic between the semi-professional level footballer, computer science. Somewhere in the middle, we found digital marketing. I feel like that's a very interesting way to land between those two careers. Do you think? Yeah. Do you think that the computer science background helps in terms of like media buying specifically?
Yeah, I think both sides help. Like from the computer science, like I'm good with numbers, I'm good at spotting patterns, I'm good with finding solutions, which is what great media buyer needs to be. Also analytical. On the sports side, I'm used to showing up, I'm used to being competitive. So like, those worlds combine perfectly with some of my characteristic, as I said, being analytical and having attention to detail, which make me a perfect media buyer, I think.
It's very interesting the sports analogy that you mentioned, like about being like competitive, performance driven. I want to win. You know what I mean? Like you might be a computer scientist, but it's like you might be really passive and not kind of like gripping the ad account, gripping the spend, pushing performance. So that's an interesting kind of like dynamic between the two of those. What are some of the things that you've seen over the last 8 years? Because I feel like there's been so many changes on the Meta platform specifically, that probably have like had people shaking in terms of like different iOS updates. What are some of the key things that you've seen that like maybe perhaps everyone's not aware of, that like this happened and things dramatically changed and then this happened?
Yeah.
Are there some key things that you've observed?
Yeah, so like previously it was very important to find that one niche audience that nobody else is using. I even had a tool that like helped me to identify the interest within the audience insight tool that Facebook had that's not necessarily visible right away in the ads manager. So like I had a competitive advantage. Then the iOS came and like, okay, Facebook doesn't have so much data to work with. Okay, most, like not most, but a lot of businesses started struggling. But luckily, Facebook kind of made the decision and made things, I think some people say harder because CPMs are cheaper. That means CPC are cheaper. That means you have to have higher conversion rate to offset that to still have the same results. But the biggest change is that like creative is doing the targeting. So it's not the interest that you put, it's like what kind of ad you have. So we found out that whenever you ask a question or you specify a problem in the hook of the ad, let's say we're selling shoes that are for people that are often traveling. And then in the hook, we say, are you traveling abroad? Then like, if I'm the guy that's traveling abroad, I'm going to answer yes in my mind. And I'm going to continue to watch the video, even without me putting the frequent travelers interest in the ads manager. And then Facebook will learn, hey, the guys that are watching the videos are all the guys that are interested in traveling. Let's show this ad to more people that are traveling. So this way, your ad, your creative is actually doing the targeting. That's the biggest switch.
Right. And so from what you found there, because that's interesting. So you found that within that first like hook, couple of seconds, 2-3 seconds, like having that question or having something relevant for that particular avatar, it's like that's the moment you need to really capture their attention, and that will direct the kind of creative and thus the budget into that particular audience. Is that what you found?
Yeah, exactly. So asking a question, showcasing a problem, let's say, are you struggling with acne? Or showcasing an inferior solution. Hey, did you try this? Which is something that your audience might try. So this way you're indirectly doing the targeting and you're specifying the people that are interested in your product. Obviously, you need to do a customer research to understand who your customers are and what kind of questions do you need to ask, not just like asking a random questions. How we usually do it, we export all the customer reviews from our Shopify and we feed it to Atria or ChatGPT, and then we're just like asking questions. Hey, who are these people that are buying our product? Why they're buying? What previous solution that they tried and failed? So basically, you're just trying to learn as much as possible. The mistake that most people do is that they assume what problems people have. But when you actually check and go through your customer review, you will get so many gold nuggets from your customer reviews. You will get people that like, they will tell you a story. Hey, I tried this, like I had problems with, I don't know, I could not spend the time with my grandchildren because my back were hurting. Then I tried this, it did not work. Basically, they will give you a story that you can use in your ad.
And what you mentioned there, I think is really key, because like I see a lot of people and they might kind of like put in their creative or in their copy messaging, it's kind of like really almost like a surface level problem, if that makes sense. And so what you mentioned there around like taking that down into like this is how they experience it. Like this is the visceral, I can't spend time with my grandkids, et cetera. Like that's on the ground level of like, I feel that because I look at my grandkids versus like, yeah, my feet are sore and I can't, bend over. It's like very, very different. Yeah. I see what you mean. Interesting. Do you find much of a relationship between the environment of the creative as well, in terms of like, for example, the particular like look and feel of the person in the ad, where they are in the background? Like, does that have anything to do with who gets served that advert?
For environment, I cannot tell. That's a good question. But for let's say for the age and for the race and for the gender, it definitely have an impact. So whenever we have like, for example, we realize when we talk about the same problem, but we have male person who's a spokesman, and then we have male B-rolls, that ad gets served to the male audience.
Right.
Although it's the exact same, and I'm not targeting men. I'm leaving everything broad. It just Facebook delivers that to the men. When I have an older person in the video, it will get delivered to the older audience. So basically, who's in your ad also does the targeting. So that's very, very crucial. And like what we found out that like, okay, you need to start diversifying both with the angles and with the avatars. So basically now we have like 4 or 5 core angles for each of our product. And when we find that the angle that's working, then we diversify in these like subsets of demographics with a different age, with a different gender, with a different race. So for example, we will have the same angle for a Asian person, then we will have the same angle for the older lady, then we will have the same angle with the man. Basically, that's amplifying your winning angle and amplifying your potential buyers.
And from a creative, like actually deploying these angles, because one of the biggest frustrations that I have in any of the accounts that we work in, or any clients' accounts, so you take, for example, 20 creatives or 10, 50 creatives, roll them into like an Advantage Plus or like a broad kind of like campaign, and then I don't know, 18 of them get no spend, and then the two that kind of like are seeming to be the top performers get spend. And so I've experimented with this and run like an ABO and then fully like forced spend into like 5 to maybe 8 at a time, and then driven like a reasonable amount of budget, maybe it's like up to like $1,000 a day into each creative to test. And the interesting thing is I find that the performance of each creative is okay. Like it's not like it's horrible. So it's like it works, but then you look at it from the perspective of rolling it into a broad, and all the spend just rolls up into 2 creatives. So what's your thoughts about this? How do you navigate that to effectively kind of like test? Is that just normal, do you think? Like, I'm curious to get your input on that.
Yeah, so you kind of like summarized it perfectly. Facebook, when you load it, like let's say 20 creatives, it would spend on maximum 2, 3, probably the ones that have the highest hook rate, the highest click-through rate, or just the best performance. Because Facebook ultimate goal is like, hey, let's just find 1 or 2 ads that have the lowest cost. When you do ABO, which I'm a fan of, I like to group my test either per angle or per creator or per style. So let's say if I get four videos from one girl, that would be 1 ad set with 4 creatives. If I get four unboxing video, that would be another ad set with 4 creatives. If I get 3 us versus them images, that would be third test, which is third ad set. So basically, my goal is to find a winning ad from each of the batch of the ads, because everything that's above my target ROAS is a nice addition to the scaling, because I don't want to be dependent on just 1 ad. Maybe, that 1 ad that would spend the most money in Advantage Shopping Plus, that's probably the best winner. But I don't want to just have 1 great winner. I want to have 1 winner and then 5, 6 supporting winners. So when I do my testing in ABO, I'm actually scaling all the individual good tests, and my budget is higher than having all the budget concentrated on that 1 ad.
Got it. And so you will test using ABO, is that what you mean? And then once you've identified like a performing ad, you'll roll it into like more of a broad or like an Advantage Plus or something?
So I test everything in broad. So basically no interest targeting, just buyer's exclusion, because most of our clients' goal is to reach new customer. Whatever is working in testing, I'll keep increasing the budget in that campaign. That allows me to scale all the individual good tests right away there in the ABO. I have some ad accounts where my testing campaign is high spending campaign. Just because whatever works, I scale there. No matter if it's labeled as testing, it's labeled just because I launch new tests there. But I sometimes get like from 100 to 4K because the test is working, and I gradually increase the budget multiple times. And then I also take winner from each batch and I put it into 1 big Advantage Shopping Plus with the cost cap, which is kind of like, for me, it's Hunger Games. Here are all the winners, and then just Facebook, do whatever you want, like spend on whatever you want, because these are all winners. So whoever you spend, it's good. Compared to what you mentioned initially, if I just launch new ads into Advantage Shopping Plus, Facebook would pick 1 or 2. But here, if Facebook pick 1 or 2, I don't care, because these are winners. And the other winners that are not getting spent in that campaign, I'm still scaling them in my ABO.
Got it. And so you mentioned when you push them into this Advantage Shopping Plus, you have cost cap installed. So you limit the maximum purchase. Got it. I see what you mean. Interesting. Got it.
So that one is running like on an inflated budget, because we found out that the conversion rate is higher on a weekend. That means that potential auction that you can win is way higher on a weekend. That means our performance is way better on a weekend. So let's say we have 20K budget in that Advantage Shopping Plus with a cost cap. On Tuesday, it would spend 5K. on Thursday it would spend 7K, but on a weekend it would spend 20K because there's just more opportunity. And me as a media buyer, I cannot assume to what extent the performance would be good on Saturday and Sunday. Yeah. But Facebook see, hey, there's more opportunity, there's higher conversion rate. Let's say even it was a Mother's Day in the US like a while ago, and it just spent all the budget because it knew that like all people are into buying mode. And I as a media buyer cannot assume to what extent I can scale. So this is something that we leverage for weekend scaling.
That's an interesting concept, and I think it's I know that different brands have different kind of relationships in terms of patterns through the week, where it's like maybe Tuesdays are a fantastic day, maybe weekends are. So I like the fact that the cost cap strategy, it almost like it gives you that runway of like, if it's good, you can spend it. You know what I mean? And it kind of during the week, if performance is average, like you mentioned, it will only spend 4,000, 7,000, but it won't kind of like overspend, which is really interesting. Got it. I see what you mean. What are some of the like, I guess, like blockers that you find? Like, are there some like levels that you see founders run into, like when they're scaling, and say, for example, they're wanting to get from like $1 million in revenues to like 10 million as an example? Are there some like points at which like maybe it's going from like $1,000 a day over $1,000 a day in spend, or maybe it's like $10,000 a day over 10,000? Like, are there any brackets that you find like this is a real sticking point that people like seem to get stuck at spend wise?
So, I mean, I'm a media buyer, but I tell to all of my clients, Facebook ads are just an amplifiers. They're like a fuel on a fire when you have a product market fit, when you have a dialed in offer, and then when you have a creative volume. So basically, like I can, with technical stuff in the ad account, I can improve your results up to like 30%, depending how bad your ad account is set up. Right. But then after that, I'm depending on like whitelisting, on your creative volume, on like all the stuff that you do outside of the ad account. They are impacting the ad account. So basically, if your results are really, really terrible and the structure is really bad, I can fix that very soon. But like I cannot take it to the next level without fuel. So basically, I have some clients that tell me like we're spending 2-3K a day. They're like, hey, can we scale? But they send me one creative a week. So like there's nothing for me to learn from this. There's nothing to learn in terms of the angles, in terms of the creatives, in terms of what kind of hooks are working. So then I tell them, hey, like we need to increase the creative volume. Okay, then we start testing 5 to 10 creatives a week. Okay, we bump it to 3K, 5K, I don't know. Then like, okay, what's the next step? Hey, can you do maybe advertorial page? This is like because your product is problem solving. Let's do personal story advertorial. Okay, we bump it to 10K. Hey, can you do like some offer tests? Let's say, do you buy 2, get 1 or something like that? Bump, we are like to 15K. After that, hey, like let's introduce whitelisting. We are to 20K. So basically, like with just Facebook ads, like their Facebook ads are not just a magic bullet. They're like gonna amplify whatever you have, and there are like different things that you could do depending what category your product is. Because like for example, if you're selling jewelry or apparel, then advertorial would not work because nobody has a problem to buy jewelry. If you just want to make it more visually appealing, then the catalog ads is a better option. So it really depends what the product is, what the niche is. But I just want to state again that although I'm a media buyer, Facebook ads are just an amplifiers.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I find that a lot of clients or brands, for example, it's like you're the media buyer, so solve all of my problems. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why is my business not working? And it's like, well, you probably have a business problem and it's not actually an advertising problem.
Exactly. I have some clients that come to me and they say like, hey, we need ROAS of like 6. And they're like, why do you need ROAS of 6? There's not a single ad account that I'm working that needs a ROAS of 6. Like you don't have a Facebook ads problem. You have a margin problem. You have
Economics.
A business problem. Exactly.
Talk to me about that a little bit, because I think that's a very interesting subject, and I think that I mean you see these I see agencies often with their massive screenshots and touting these like incredible ROAS 9x 11x, and I'm like, okay, yes. So from what you've seen, like what are the economics, or I guess what are the ROAS kind of multiples that you found on like brands that have been able to scale very quickly? Like talk to me about that from what you've seen.
Yeah, let's touch base first on that screenshot. So when I see that screenshot, I know that either a spend is super small, like I don't know, 200 a day, or there's a lot of view conversions. So for example, we took over one client that's like, it's built organically. They did not run ads. So when we started running ads, I mean, they had an agency and they were running ads, and like ROAS was 13. When I check click and view conversions, like there was 90% view conversions. So
Right.
basically, like click ROAS was, I don't know, 1.2. So basically, Facebook was just attributing all the sales that other channels, that organic, that influencers are actually responsible. So I told the client, like you can cut all of this budget in your ad account and your revenue would stay the same. So we
Yeah.
did that. We cut 100K budget, the revenue stayed the
Jesus.
same. So basically, we just saved them 100K just by removing view conversions. And then obviously, you want to make a decision based on the numbers that are incremental. In terms of the ROAS targets, obviously it depends on your margins. The better margins, the lower the target ROAS, it's easier to scale. It also depends whether you're in subscription or you need to beat first order profitability. I have some clients that are okay with ROAS 0.4 because they know their LTV, they know their subscription, that 0.4 would turn out to be 3.5 in 6 months. So those are like usually supplements or like pet subscription brands
Yeah.
or stuff like that, or skincare where you can count on that LTV. Obviously, not everybody can, but then you frame your offer that you squeeze most of your margins. Because, like, let's say you have a product that people mostly buy in 2 or 3, then you make a bundle. Then you make it like, hey, buy one get one free, instead of, hey, like 20% off. I guarantee your conversion rate would offset massively because you're not giving that discount and you're still keeping your AOV high, but it looks like amazing offer. So basically, there's are things that you can do on the offer side that would protect your margins. But obviously, if you don't have at least, let's say, 60, 70 percent gross margins, like it's going to be very hard to succeed. And also, if your AOV is below 50, obviously you can make it work, but it's going to be very hard.
It's definitely a lot more of a fight. Like, you're going on an uphill battle, and every single day is like trying to fight like a cash arbitrage of like money in versus ROAS, and it's like CPM's increasing, more competitors. How are you supposed to like continue bidding down when everything's going up? Like it's very, very challenging. Yeah, no, completely agree. Are there any other key metrics that you kind of like focus on or look at that you find like really important? You mentioned like the gross profit margin, 70%. We try and generally advise and work with our clients to aim as high as 80%, just because I have a brand particularly that our gross margin's like 91% or something around about that. And it's like the peace of mind that you have around every single overall business experience, whether it's running media, whether it's like a bad month, you know what I mean? Like all these things, you have so much buffer there, the sustainability of the business in terms of like actual cash on cash ordering versus like I'm profitable, but I need to put money in for my next, stock order. It's like you're not cash profitable. You might be like revenue profitable, what you brought in, but you're still at a loss next month. So it's very interesting. Are there any other metrics that you find that really you pay attention to that make a lot of like impact in terms of like brands being able to scale specifically?
Yeah, so basically, we usually define our like net profit, then we reverse that into contribution margin, then reverse back that into gross margin, and into target ROAS, then into ROAS in the ad account. So basically, it all starts from the back. What's important to mention that most of our clients, they are focused on acquiring new customers. So that's why we care about NC ROAS, new customer ROAS, or AMER, which is acquisition MER. So basically, I could acquire 100 customers, but if 20 of them are recurring customers, then like that means that my ROAS is 20% worse, because especially if you count on LTV. So that's crucial then to have buyer's exclusion in your ad account, because if you're not and you're counting on that LTV, hey, I got 100 customers that would turn out to be, let's say 150 in 2 months, but you actually acquired 80, that means that it's actually 125. So basically, that gives you insight to what extent your acquisition is good. That's one thing. The other thing is what I think is important to mention. that as you scale, your ROAS can go down because
Mm.
as you sell more, obviously you'll still pay more for the production for each of the sale. You'll still pay the same for the production of the product and for the shipping
Mm.
and for the spend on the ads, but you're not going to spend more on the OPEX. So your OPEX are not rising proportionally with the number of sales, because like it's not gonna that you're gonna hire 3 more person as you scale. It's not gonna you hire 3 more agencies. So you get to that point where it makes sense to maybe spend more on a lower ROAS, and you will still profit more than other way around because the volume would offset that lower ROAS. So that's what we try to teach our clients. Hey, like you cannot expect that like if you're spending 100K and 500K that your ROAS will stay the same. It would definitely go down, but let that find inflection point where we're still making more money.
And so how do you because it's such a big thing for people to see, as into like see what's on the other side. Like I'm sitting there and I'm spending like $100,000 a month or whatever it is, and I'm like, my business is on a knife edge. You know what I mean? And I'm like, everything about what I'm looking at from the numbers perspective is like, it's telling me to reduce the budget or be more efficient, but it's actually like you need to spend more, increase the volume so you can actually have something left over. So what do you find that the main blockers there are for people to push through that, like that prevent them from getting from 100 to 500K in spend?
Yeah, I mean, they don't understand this. So usually I build a chart where it says like, hey, this is the spend, this is the ROAS, and like here we have a revenue. And obviously, the more you spend with high ROAS, the more revenue. But then I have another chart, which is color coded, which basically goes from red to green, which tells them, hey, like if we spend 500K with 1.6, it's same as spending 200K with 3. You get the same number of revenue. Okay, it's up to you to decide whether you want to like get more creatives and obviously push on the creative volume to get that to the 500 spend. But that means you will acquire more customers. The business will be growing, or you're okay with being where you are. And just basically we have a chart which tells us at what target ROAS, at what spend, with what margins you're getting what profits. So when you like lay down in numbers with the colors and like, hey, this is bright red, and this is like dark green, like you can spot the performance. Sometimes usually they pick like something in the middle. Let's not go be aggressive, let's not go be conservative. And then like we spend more only if you're hitting the target. So if my client tells me, hey, my target is 2.5, if I'm at like 1.6 and I'm scaling, he's going to fire me tomorrow. So it's in my best interest to hit that target, and if I'm hitting, to scale as much as possible.
Yeah, definitely. I find so often it's and it's great working with, you know, someone like yourself, for example, that has like the experience of seeing it through so many different brands, because I feel like sometimes for that new founder who's like really scaling, they're kind of like, I'm just scared. You know what I mean? And sometimes it's like, it's okay, I've done this a lot of times before, we need to up the spend. And then they see the results coming through from the spend and it's like, right, he was right. It's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you cannot blame them. Like, I started the dropshipping brand with my girlfriend, and like my approach to the like money is like totally different when you're running ads for yourself. Like obviously you care about every dollar. Obviously I do that for my clients, but like I don't blame people for like being careful about the money. Ultimately the end goal is like to get better results. If I can like improve your results by 10%, then it still makes sense for you to hire me, because by like I'm going to offset my costs by improving your results and you're still doing better. So obviously the end goal is the same, both for me and for my client, to make them more money while being more profitable.
Yeah, no, absolutely. What are some of the most like what are some of the results or maybe things that you've done that you're like most proud of in terms of like maybe strategies you've rolled out or things that you've kind of like spearheaded and really pushed into a brand that have like generated some pretty epic returns or pretty epic results?
Yeah, so I was the media buyer that worked on Oodie for 3.5 years. When we started, it was me, Davey, and the girl from customer service. We were spending just like 2K a day. When I left 3.5 years ago, it was like I was running 6 different ad accounts for 6 different regions. We were spending over 100K a day. It was a team of like 80 people. Everything else was outsourced besides me. Everything else was in-house besides media buying that I was managing.
Right.
So it was like I grew the Oodie grew me as a media buyer. So that's probably my biggest success story.
Yeah. Wow. How was how was that experiencing and seeing such a growth kind of curve in a company? Like I imagine like growing it from like such a small kind of startup into 80 people and then the company that hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. Like how was that for you to kind of observe, and what were some of the lessons that you had to like take out of that and change in terms of maybe the way that you operated as well?
Yeah, definitely a lot of lessons that I can see. Hey, the systems that we had for the creative production, those are the systems that I'm not now telling to my clients. Hey, we need to have everything structured. We need to have the creative loop. You need to like sign me every time the creative goes live and stuff like that. That's like one thing. The other thing is like I think we unlocked different milestones at a very good time. For example, for me, that was a great product that you can showcase visually. Then like at that time, Instagram story was introduced as a placement. And then we were the first one that jumped on that with 9x16 creative. So, okay, like that got us a bit bump. Then we were among the first one that started UGC ads. Okay, that got us to the next position. Then like we unlocked a new region. Then they introduced new products. Then COVID hits. Then we introduced paid collaboration. So basically, like what I mentioned initially with the whitelisting, with the influencers, here, all the different things unlocked a different level of growth that just propelled us to go to that level. And as I said, it's not necessarily Facebook. Obviously, Facebook was playing a crucial part, but everything else that David did outside of the ad account helped me tremendously.
I'm curious what you mentioned there. So you mentioned like influencers and you mentioned like whitelisting. So one thing that I always see this across founders, whether it's ecom founders or just entrepreneurs in general, is it's like looking for the one thing. You know what I mean? It's like the thing that's going to 10x my business, the thing that's going to turn what I'm doing right now into this rocket ship that's just going to take off. And what I'm hearing through some of the stories you're mentioning here is it's the compounding of these small things that are done over time consistently, right? That yield the return. So can you talk a little bit about that in terms of like what you've seen around that kind of compounding, whether it's the whitelisting, whether it's the influencers, whether it's the different markets or however you scale, but it's like not one thing that just radically transformed the business.
Yeah, there's definitely not one thing. One thing would probably have the biggest impact, but all the others would amplify that. So for example, as I said, first you need to have a product market fit. And you have a product market fit, you need to have an offer that's dialed in. So that means that you're actually maximizing your profit per visitor. That's what you can like use intelligence and test different offers. Let's say buy two, get one, buy two, get two, maybe even if you're super aggressive, then like price anchoring to actually maximize the bundles and stuff like that. So that's first thing. When you have that dialed in, then it's creative volume. So basically understanding who your customers are, making creatives. So for example, for our internal brand, we are testing between 15 and 20 concepts a week. And each concept has 3 to 5 different variations. So that means like at least 60 creatives a week. And that's a mix of in-house mashups, images, influencer videos. And then like, okay, we soon identify that like influencer videos are working the best. Okay, then let's double down on the influencer videos. Then we realize that influencers videos are working. Okay, let's ask them for a whitelisting access. Then we got whitelisting. Then we're like, okay, next step should be whoever we negotiate whitelisting access right away because that's performing better than the brand page. So basically, I'm taking learnings from each of my tests. Obviously, that does not happen overnight, but it happens for a span of like month and a half. But like for me, Facebook ads are just a set of assumptions. You have something, you get the data, you get the learnings, and then you double down on the winners. So as you progress, you realize, hey, like in order to get more influencer content, it's expensive for us to pay to a lot of influencers. Let's just see the product, give it for free. And because the product is great, people will post about it. So like, okay, let's do the seeding. So we hired an agency and we sent over 6,000-7,000 packages a month a year for free. And like half of that, not probably half, but like I would say 20% of that we used in our ads. Plus it created word of mouth. So, it just compounds and you're getting learning from one thing to another.
I love that you mentioned that as well, because it's it's those activities and those behaviors of doing things that might not have necessarily like an immediate ROI. Like, let's go and send 6,000 units. Like, most people are like, oh, I sent 5.
Yeah,
And
and
like,
like, and nobody posted, and like it's not
right.
working.
And it's like, well, what did you expect? You know what I mean? Can you explain the concept for people who haven't, like, maybe, gone down the process of whitelisting? Can you explain that a little bit in terms of like how it works, some specifics around it, and how you've seen it like work really effectively in the strategy?
Yeah. So, for example, whitelisting is the case that you're running the ads through the influencer Facebook page and Instagram handle. And when you see the ad, it's not, hey, I'm Inspire, we are the best agency. It's like,
Mm,
for example, I could run ads through your handle and it's Sasha mentioning, hey guys, like I work in Inspire, they're the best agency that I work with. So, like, it's immediate credibility because you're authority in the space. It's not you promoting yourself. It always sounds fake because it's actually someone else promoting you. So when you have like
mm,
10, 15 people like that, it creates a sense that everybody who's good at this and everybody who's in this space is recommending, let's say, Inspire.
mm,
So it creates a sense that everybody, in our case in ecom, is using the product. The other thing is that when you're running through the brand page, you can see just one ad per session. When you're running through the influencer pages, you see like 4 or 5 ads in the same session. Um, how to get access? Usually, influencers are scared. Hey, like I need to give you access to my page, but like it's
yeah.
just to run ads. We cannot post anything on their page. Also, influencers are worried that like, hey, it would appear on my timeline and like it would just come spammy that I'm promoting you. But when you do the ads, they're not appearing on their timeline. It's just like in a backend. They're also worried
Mm,
that like, hey, you're just gonna use my audience. No, I'm not gonna use your audience. I'm
mm,
gonna run to the broad audience. Also, we make sure that every video that we do and every ad copy that we run through their page is approved by them. So it doesn't
mm,
happen that like that we are using some language that they're not okay with. And sometimes, like depending how knowledgeable they are about whitelisting, some people give it for free. Some people ask like
mm,
for 5K a month. I'm okay with paying 5K if I can spend 100K on that ad in
yeah.
a month. So for most people, we try to negotiate, hey, can we get like at least 7 day test period so I can test the ad? I can see from my side, hey, like this is doing good, let's pay them. And that obviously worked well for our internal brand because I would say like 70% of ads are running through the influencer page at this point.
Wow. And so, and even thinking about it, like from the perspective of the narrative that would create, right? So, like as a consumer, I've seen the brand, and respectfully, I'm the brand is the last person I'll trust. You know what I mean? I'm like,
Yeah,
you're clearly trying to sell me something, but the
exactly.
influencers and the authority figures in that space that are saying the same things, I have a much higher like trust profile, and I'm going to be like, you know what? She's using it. They also use it. Like, this really makes a lot of sense. So I feel like it makes a lot of sense in terms of like the positioning, the narrative that it would create in terms of these well-known figureheads in that particular niche, all using the same product, all talking about the same product, and this kind of like creative strategy that would be able to kind of take people on a journey through the brand creative as well as the influencer creative. So yeah, really, really, really powerful. I like that a lot. Mm,
Yeah, it looks very more. It looks very more genuine. It looks very more native. It
mm.
doesn't look like necessarily as an ad. It looks like someone that your friend would post like about a review of this product, and that's why it's way more powerful.
Mm. I'm curious to know a little bit about, because like with the changes on the platform, specifically around Meta, I feel like there's a lot more kind of like AI that's being rolled into the platform. I'm curious on the AI type level, like what are some of the tools, what are some of the mechanisms and systems that you might be using from like an AI perspective that are helping either like in-house internal brands or your clients to get more leverage and do more with less?
Yeah, so I found it most useful for the research. So basically, hey, here are like 1,000 reviews. Just tell me what
Mm,
are the main things people are buying
got
for
it.
and like what are the problems. So basically, that research phase. Um, I know my video editors are using for AI voiceover. That's something that we use on the mashup. So like you have just B-rolls and then you have a script with AI voiceover that you can give it any script and it would sound like it's coming from a person. We also experiment with one of the tool. It's called Arcads. which actually gives you AI avatars. So obviously, if you cannot afford yourself to get like an authority in the space, it's like, hey, again, you give a script and you pick a person, and it just tells that script, like it looks like a talking head, in a video on a green screen.
Right.
So you have a person that's actually saying the script, not just like a text on a screen, like what I mentioned with the AI voiceover. So that's interesting in terms of the analysis of the creative. So like that you can do, hey, like, can you compare this ad? Tell me why this is winner. What would you make it as a next iteration? So basically, those are small things in a different parts of the process. It's not like, hey, it's AI and like I use it for everything. We are experimenting with that on the image creation side, but it's not there yet to be like fully ready. It's good to get you like from 0 to 1 to get that idea, and then you pass that to your graphic designers. Hey, like this is something that I won't just make it proper.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think we were starting to use ArcAds some time ago as well. It's developed a lot in terms of like the last I think I used it first maybe like a year and a half ago, and I used it. I'm like, oh, like this is, the mouth is really bad. Like the hand signals are all over the place, but it's really, really, really improved a lot in terms of like the accuracy, the tonality. It's improved tremendously in terms of the accuracy of how human like it is. So very, very, very impressive. Yeah, I like it. I'm curious in terms of like people who might be listening to this at the moment that could be like a potential kind of like ideal, client, or might, benefit a lot from working with like your company. Do you want to maybe just flesh that out a little bit in terms of like who are the brands that you help specifically? And if people have particular problems at certain levels, like who would be kind of like ideal for, them to come and reach out to you?
Yeah, so we don't have any specifics in terms of the niches. So we work with different niches. The only requirement that we have is that like you're spending at least 50K a month on Facebook ads. Because in my eyes, if you're not spending 50K, you not necessarily have a product market fit. So it's not Facebook ads agency that you need to hire. Maybe you need to hire conversion rate agency, creative agency, fix on your offer or something like that. When you're spending at least 1K, we can definitely take you to the next level. We work with 9-figure brands like Oodie, Vessi, 8-figure brands like the brand Cure Skincare, Diff Eyewears, Muscle Nation. So there's a big range of brands that we help with. As I said, we do all of the Facebook ads media buying. We don't do creative production, but we help with the creative strategies in terms of the analysis, what are the next steps, and how to actually take it to the next level. So yeah, if you're on that level, if you're an e-com brand spending at least 50K a month, you can reach out to me. I can do a free audit of your ad account so we can identify the mistakes and opportunities. Basically, you'll get a list of things that I would do if I would take over the ad account. It gives me insight whether I think I can help, because sometimes people do everything right in the ad account and they tell them, hey, like you just need more creative volume, so go hire a creative agency. But sometimes I see, hey, like you're not using post ID, you're not using exclusions, you're testing creative doesn't make any sense. So then like, okay, I know I can improve the results. And it also gives insight to my potential client. Hey, like this guy know what he's talking about. It makes sense to work with him. And like, you can reach out to me directly. Sasha, you can add the email in the notes. And if you're just curious more about Facebook ads and learning, I'm sharing tips and tricks and strategies like what I shared on this podcast on a daily basis on my Twitter and on a weekly basis on my YouTube videos. So if you're just curious about upgrading your Facebook ads game, you can follow me there.
And what are you excited about at the moment, Marin? Like, what are the things that like wake you up in the morning and you're like, let's fucking go? Like, what's getting you pumped up every single day when you think about the future of like media buying? You think about the future of like the Meta platform. What's really lighting you up?
So I'm probably gonna disappoint you. I don't have something something like that. It's just like I'm the guy that's like his routine, like consistency. I like my freedom that I can go in the middle of the day, like to do gym session or whatever. And actually running Facebook ads on our internal brand allows me to have that freedom in my life, whether not necessarily just financial freedom, but like freedom to do whenever I want, wherever I want. I just need a laptop and Wi-Fi, and that keeps me going.
Nice. Just the boring guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Routine, consistent. I mean, that's like the perfect kind of like media buying routine, right? Keep things consistent, keep it stable, and keep the
Exactly.
keep the results coming. Well, man, it's been a pleasure speaking to you, and I really appreciate the simplicity I feel like that you bring into the way that you do things. I can just hear that the knowledge that you've kind of accumulated through. You can always tell when someone knows what they're doing because they make complex things seem very simple, right? And you do that
Appreciate
really,
that.
really, really well, and you explain it in a way where like listening to it, it's just like, oh yeah, like of course, like that's a no-brainer. But people get so bogged down in it, you know what I mean? So it's a credit to what you're doing and how you're doing things. It's really, really cool to see how like okay you are with this like routine of working in numbers and data and just like pushing results forward for brands and helping them to ultimately like grow and scale. So really, really, really excited. And thank you so much for jumping on here. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for the invite. I appreciate it. As I said, like Facebook ads are easy when you make it easy, and I try to make them easy, and it proved working well for several times. So yeah, thanks again for having me. This was probably one of the best interviews that I did. We did
Amazing.
cover most of the technical stuff and high level strategy. So I hope the audience will like it.
Amazing, fantastic, and look, as Marin mentioned, if you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to him if you are at that level. I highly recommend the work that he does. So I appreciate it, man, and thank you again.
Thank you.